Creating WordPress queries with Table Constructor. WordPress stores its data in MySQL database, which is usually called WPDB or WordPress Database. It has a custom structure. Usually people don't even know how these tables are structured, because the structure that is known to the users is based on post types, on custom taxonomies, on categories, tags, etc. And usually people don't know how does WordPress organize this data in the tables, how, for example, each meta value is stored, or how is the custom taxonomy stored and how it's linked to different posts, pages, or other post types. And when it's necessary to create a MySQL query to the WordPress database, if you're not familiar with the structure and if you're not very familiar with SQL itself, it can be pretty complicated. So what we tried to do with the table constructor, we wanted to help such users and to create a step-by-step graphical interface where you could pick the structure that is, pick the fields from a structure which is familiar to you. So you could pick the post types, could pick the meta values, the taxonomies, and then just do a couple of clicks and the query would be automatically generated for you. I must say right away that it's not always 100% correct, and it's basically not an ultimate query generator that knows everything about what you want and generates the query always 100% correctly. It just can be considered as the helper, but as the complexity of your needs grow, it's getting more and more possible that the query won't be 100% correct. So the query isn't stored right away, and it's shown you in an editor in the last step, and you can play around with it to achieve the exact result that you need. So let's go through the steps needed to create automatically generate a query to the WordPress database. First, you would need to open your WordPress admin dashboard and go to wpDataTables, WPDatatable Constructor. Here you would need to choose the third option. I want to create a table based on my WordPress data, posts or pages, and post meta or taxonomy values. Okay, so click Next, and here you can see several sections. Let's go through these one by one. First section is a list of all post types that are registered in your WordPress installation. It will be different for your WordPress because probably you have a different number of plugins. Also, some themes introduce custom post types, but you will always have the all option, which covers all post types. You will always have post, page, attachment, revision, because these are default for WordPress. All the others are custom based on installation. So first you would need to pick the post types that you would like to have in your table, for example the post. Once you click at least one value here, once you choose at least one post type, the second section gets filled, and the second section is the list of post properties, which includes the post properties of the post itself, and also if you scroll you can see that all the possible meta values for the post are also listed here, and also all the possible taxonomies. So they are separated with a dot. So all post properties are separated: post dot post date, post dot post title, etc. Then everything which is a meta value is separated by a dot from meta, so post dot meta dot then name of the meta value, and same for taxonomy, post dot taxonomy dot category. In this example I will pick post author, post title with link to post, let's also choose post thumbnail with a link to post, and then let's see the post taxonomy category and post taxonomy post tag. Next section is additional conditions. For example, if you want to query all the posts, but for example till some defined date or after some defined date, you can add this condition here. For example, choose that post date will be more than specific date or less than specific date, etc. It all doesn't have to be the date. You can also pick, for example, the author and say that the post author or I don't know, or post title shouldn't be equal to not like this. And one last section here is the section of grouping rules. If you have at least some previous background with the MySQL, you know what is grouping. So basically it's when the result is returned, some rows can be repeated almost exactly as there is, so as it is. So for example, it can, now we chosen post with its categories, and if one post has several categories, for example 3, same row will be repeated 3 times and only category will change. And to avoid this, we can add grouping, and then these values will be grouped. So let's first try it without grouping. We click next, and you see it generated a pretty complicated query here, and we see the values that we have selected there: post ID, post title with link to post, post author, then thumbnail, then category, then post tag. And here you can see what I was talking about. So there are multiple tags attached to this post, number 465, and for each tag it generated a separate row, and probably it's not what we wanted, so we can go one step back and add the grouping rule that we would like to group by post ID. The values here are filled from what you've chosen in the post properties. So now you see it merged the categories separated with the comma, and also it merged the post tags separated with the comma. So now each post only repeats once, and for each post we can see all the tags and all the categories that are assigned to it. I know that many of you would say that this query is ridiculously long and you could fetch the same thing by a smaller query, and this is correct, but I always say that yeah, we do work, and there is of course room for improvement for this query generator, but the SQL is so complicated that it's really hard to automate it completely, and the algorithm that we have now creates query like this. Probably we'll find some more optimal solutions in the future, but this already works, and this already might help a lot of the users that don't want to study SQL, but they want just to fetch this data. So when we have in the preview the table that we would like to see in the end, you just need to click this button here, create wpDataTable. It would store our query and prepare a new MySQL query based wpDataTable. And you see the query is here. So now we can make any adjustments that we need, something like add the table title, like WPDB query generator demo. And then we can define more readable names to columns. Maybe we don't need the post ID here. Here we can say just author. Here we can say thumb. Here we can say categories. here we can say tags. Save it once again. And then we just need to insert this table in our post or page. I will create a new page, but it can be an existing page, it can be an existing post or any other post type. Basically, whenever you have this editor, you can insert our table. Let's call the new page WPDB query generator. And let's insert the table that we just created. Here it is. So let's publish and go to front end to see how it looks. Here it is. So these are our posts with links to the post, also thumbnails with links to the post, and all the categories that are assigned to the posts, post authors, and the tags. There is one more thing that I need to mention here. So it's not always only one post type that you would like to fetch. Sometimes you need to have something like parent-child relationships defined. So this is also covered by the WordPress Database query generator. So for example, you can pick page and attachment. Then we get one more section here. So first let's choose what we like to see. So page ID, page post author, page post title. Then for example, attachment ID, attachment post title. So once we add more than one post type and several properties for different post types, we also need to tell the constructor how will these post types be related. So there are two main options which we have in this section. First is that we will define relations, which are also known as joining rules between different post types, and the other option is do not define relations. If you know a little bit of MySQL, you probably know what joining is. If you don't, maybe it's the best to go to MySQL or to any other tutorial and see at least some brief explanations. Basically, join is a way to concatenate, to link two tables or more tables based on some value. For example, in this case, we might do like this. So we might say that page ID is equal to attachment post parent. Where is this post parent? What it will do, it will go through all pages and all the attachments and link them by these two fields. It will link the rows into tables where the value of the ID column in the page table is equal to the value of the post parent column in the attachment table. Of course, in this case they are stored in the same table, but it doesn't matter. So probably now it will not return anything, I'm not sure. It actually does. So it shows us all the pages with all of its attachments. So we just also need to do the grouping. It also shows us the attachment post title, etc. So you can play around with the table constructor, play around with the WordPress database query generator. Probably it will not generate 100% what you need, but already when you have this query, you can then modify it manually in this editor, remove some rows, add some rows. So then you just need to click on the refresh query and preview, and you can see how your changes, how will result change based on the editing that you did. So the joining rules are defined here. If this is clicked, then it's going to be an inner join. If this is unclicked, unchecked, it's going to be a full outer join. Here you can define where conditions, so to say like something is equal to something, and then you can see that it's set it to the where statement, to the where condition, but we have no result because nothing is returned with this query. So when we, for example, remove this once again and refresh, it will show us the result again. Hope that the interface is user-friendly and clear enough. And we also have a text version of documentation where everything is covered also in detail. So maybe if the video tutorial isn't that clear, we can also go and see the text documentation. And for now, thanks for watching and see you in next tutorials.
WPDataTables, the easiest way to render interactive editable tables on your WordPress site. Purchase WPDataTables exclusively on Code Canyon.